It begins in the dead of night at a quiet electrical substation on the edge of Pine Ridge. Transformers hum like distant machinery in a dream. Beyond the fence, the forest looms as a dark, silent wall. Caleb Ward moves through the shadows with the precision of someone who's done this kind of work too many times. He cuts the fence, slips inside, and opens a transformer cabinet filled with a dense forest of labeled switches. In his hand, he holds a schematic of Pine Ridge's power grid, marked with circles around the hospital, the water plant, the church, the radio tower. He arms compact charges with a calm certainty and plants them one by one. When he looks up, the power lines above him hiss, not with electricity, but with something like crackling bones. Caleb presses the detonator. The substation lights bloom bright for a moment, then die. Transformers pop in sequence. He walks away as the town falls into flickering darkness. Across Pine Ridge, the water plant buckles under the surge. Pressure spikes, alarms wail, and the operator watches the feed turn dark and contaminated. The speakers in the room whisper with the voice of something old, telling the water to flow. The emergency shutoff denies his command. He realizes the town's water is already being pulled toward corruption. The screen cuts to black, and the word Firebreak burns into existence. Inside the hospital, emergency lighting flickers. Dr. Hart, Mara, and Sheriff Rowe gather around the nurses' station as the alert spreads. The water is compromised. Power is unstable. Caleb's sabotage has opened channels the forest entity immediately rushes to exploit. Electricity, plumbing, radio, anything that connects the town now hums with the wrong presence. Hart sees it for what it is. The entity is using the town itself as a boundary to wear. Before Caleb can cleanly terminate the vessel, they have to retrieve Aaron. Aaron is already sitting up in his hospital room, half-dressed, marks glowing faintly under his skin. He sees the surge of influence as threads of light and pressure across a map only he can read. The water system darkening, the church brightening under ritual use, the grid trembling with a parasitic rhythm. The entity is everywhere now, and he is inside its network, whether he likes it or not. They move fast. Rowe, Mara, Hart, and Aaron race through darkened streets in the SUV, emergency lights strobing behind windows. Aaron sees Pine Ridge as a living map of connections, each flickering streetlight a node, each pipe a vein, each prayer group in the church a hungry pulse. He admits he can't shut down each channel individually. There are too many. The only answer is to reroute the river, not fight every drop. On the radio, Caleb's voice bleeds in on a wave of interference, telling them to stop, telling them Aaron is unstable, telling them containment requires force. But his words twist with the forest static, making it clear even he doesn't fully control the channel he's using. The group reaches the trailhead where Silas and Ivy stand waiting. They understand what's coming. Aaron plans to break the pact entirely, severing the ancient design that bound a hungry entity to a human vessel. Silas prepares a ring of fire that can act as a physical boundary. If they intend to make a scar between worlds, the ground will need to burn. The ritual clearing stands unchanged, and yet forever altered, stones weathered, the air thick with old memory. A bone-white sapling grows at the edge, its leaves shaped like tiny antlers. Aaron steps into the circle. The boundary tightens around him like a second skin. Mara watches from outside the stones, unwilling to cross but unable to look away. Then Aaron closes his eyes and falls into the network. He sees everything at once. The town's pumps, its power lines, its prayers, all lit by the faint electric glow of the mark. And behind it all, the forest entity, a vast, directionless hunger pressing through every avenue it can find. Instead of trying to rebuild the pact, Aaron begins dismantling it. He grabs the entity's lines and starts severing them, one by one. The church's influence slackens. The water system flickers. Power lines go dark within his perception. But the more lines he cuts, the more pressure the entity exerts. It pushes back, shifting through the network like a storm looking for open sky. In the real world, Silas lights the fire ring. Flames roar to life, encircling the clearing but refusing to spread to the rest of the forest. The heat churns upward, sealing the space around Aaron. And beyond the flames, towering in the tree line, the entity appears, an immense antlered silhouette pressing against the boundary with limbs made of bone and bark. It is not fully incarnate, but its presence makes the earth tremble. Then Caleb arrives, rifle trained on Aaron's heart. He intends to end the vessel before the entity can spill through him. But Silas warns him, shoot now, and everything Aaron is holding back will flood into the town. Even Caleb hesitates before that possibility. Aaron doesn't stop. He cuts deeper until only two connections remain, the forest itself and his own body. In the network, he feels the entity completely now, its rage, its hunger, its blind instinct to expand. And he knows the truth. There is no structure left to repair. No safe way to keep this tethered. He must remove himself from the system entirely. He coils the entity around the architecture inside his own blood. He contains what was never meant to be contained. And then he severs his final node. His connection to Pine Ridge collapses. The entity is left with nowhere to go but down into him. The circle erupts. A shockwave tears through the clearing. Fire blasts upward. The entity lunges in fury, but cannot escape. The collapsing pattern tears it inward, shredding antlers, bark, shadow, and hunger into splinters. For an instant, Aaron is lit from within like a white-hot beacon. He finds Mara across the flames and gives her a final, small smile. Then he is gone. The fire collapses inward. Silence swallows the clearing. The entity withers into absence. When the smoke clears, nothing remains of Aaron except a burned pattern in the dirt, his marks etched into the earth like a fossil of sacrifice. The forest is quiet, no whispering static, no wrong shivers. Birds begin to sing, tentative, confused, free. In the months that follow, Pine Ridge heals. The water runs clear. The radio static is mundane again. The church shifts from desperate ritual to quiet reconciliation. Formerly marked townsfolk show no signs of lingering influence. Dr. Hart's tests come back clean. Life returns to routine rhythms, and no one hears nocturnal vertebrae clicks in the dark anymore. Mara tends Aaron's garage, turning it into a community project, a living memorial. Not a shrine, but something practical, something he'd have groaned at but secretly appreciated. Silas and Ivy patrol the woods out of habit, finding nothing but normal wildlife and old trees. Without the pact, they are simply themselves again, untethered, unburdened. Caleb files his report from afar. The anomaly is resolved. The town is safe. The vessel is gone. He tosses the last burnt remnant of the circle into the grass and drives toward whatever assignment comes next. In the town square, a small plaque carries Aaron's name and a simple inscription. For holding the line. So the rest of us didn't have to. Life moves around it, children on bikes, parents chatting, music drifting through the air. Mara stands before the memorial one evening with a quiet smile. The sky is clear. The streetlights glow steadily. The world is finally ordinary. No static. No pressure, no boundary, just Pine Ridge standing on its own. A balance, a necessity, but it was never any of those things. It was a burden, passed from one life to another, until someone finally chose not to carry it anymore.